Hello fellow subscribers, this is part 2 of the 5G video entitled "This isn't about faster internet speed." And I apologize for the abrupt cutoff of the part 1 video, but I promise you we will take off where we left. We were talking about directed energy weapons, DEW, which were used in the 9/11 event and various fires like the Paradise Fires in California. When you examine 5G hardware, it has a dielectric lens, which is proof it is a weapons system. Autonomous vehicles can use 5G to shine in mirrors of other drivers, which is so strong and damaging, it is equivalent to assault. Mark talks about how 5G is powerful enough to kill babies in wombs. 5G is a weapons system, nothing more, nothing less. It's got nothing to do with telecommunications for humans. I wish you would get that, dear subscribers. 5G is a machine-to-machine connection for autonomous vehicles. It's not for our use. It's not for faster internet. I hope you get it. Sixth 5G danger. Los Angeles firefighters develop ailments after being too close to towers. There's a video which shows a 25-year-old veteran firefighter from Los Angeles compares cell towers to cigarettes. He calls for a stop to the cell mobile phone base stations being built on or near fire stations. Firefighters are not the only ones suffering the effects. It was reported that hundreds of birds fell from the sky in the Netherlands during a 5G test. That's not surprising at all. The seventh 5G danger. "5G purportedly uses millimeter wave frequencies, so called because the frequencies are so high, in the 24 to 100 GHz range. Since 1 GHz equals 1 billion gigahertz, I suppose there's a mistake there. We are talking about frequencies with very, very short wavelength, the distance between the peak of one wave and the next. The distances are so tiny they are measured in millimeters, hence the term millimeter wave. These are the exact same frequencies used by the military for their non-lethal weapons, such as active denial systems for crowd dispersal. These weapons have the capacity to cause tremendous injury. If you are unlucky enough to be standing there when it hits you, you feel like your body is on fire. The 80th 5G danger. It's mutagenic, means causing DNA damage, and carcinogenic. The mmW frequencies of 5G cause mitochondrial DNA damage, which is then passed down generations. 5G is mutagenic. These mutations are inherited by the next generation. This has grave implications for genetic purity. How many people are thinking about this when they can't stop looking at their screens? The website lists many studies showing the mitochondrial damage that occurs after exposure to EMF radiation. With mutagenesis usually comes carcinogenesis. In other words, once something is powerful and dangerous enough to cause DNA damage, chances are high it will lead to cancer. And again, the same person, Mark Steele, says 5G is a class 1 carcinogen, although the WHO, World Health Organization, very conservatively and not surprisingly, classifies cell phone towers as a class 2B possible carcinogen. That's to keep you and me docile, quiet, that we may not be alarmed. It's important to note, however, that the WHO is an agency of the UN which was set up by the Rockefellers an illustrious New World Order Illuminati family, who plan to use the UN as a vehicle to usher in a one-world government. 5G is being rushed out without the proper safety testing done, so we don't have much data on how 5G specifically causes cancer, but there is an abundance of evidence showing how 2G, 3G, and 4G EMFs are implicated in many kinds of cancer, including brain cancer, let alone 5G. This website has a good collection of the many studies done. The ninth danger of 5G, phased array densification. 5G requires significantly more transmitters or broadcasters than earlier generations. It is a plan of massive infrastructure creation, with stations, towers, and bases planned to be put almost everywhere, including in the heart of residential neighborhoods. The effects of this kind of densification could be disastrous. 5G is powerful enough to 3D map the inside of your home and other buildings. Mark Steele specifically highlights the 868 MHz frequency, previously used for battlefield interrogations and which can travel with ease through bricks and concrete. He claims this frequency can single out specific people, Interestingly, given all the electronic harassment and gang stalking which occurs against targeted individuals. That's how they can target you through whilst you are in your home, through your walls, using these frequencies. 5G infrastructure will consist of a small phased array antennas shooting out radiation at their targets like a bullet. The rays of microwaves they produce will be strong enough to pass through walls and human bodies. We will be blanketed with this 24/7, 365 days a year. And what's worse, the coverage area is slated to be broader than the current 4G, eventually encompassing every square inch of Earth, so that the Antichrist can monitor everyone. The 10th danger of 5G, killing all the insects? I think very, very likely. Insects, birds, and children are the most vulnerable to 5G due to their body size. Claire Edwards is a former UN staff editor who brought the EMF 5G issue to the attention of UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. She stated in an anti-5G rally speech in Stockholm. It's interesting to know that in the last 20 years we have lost 80% of our insects. And if we get 5G, we're going to lose 100% of our insects. When the insects go, and that's obviously referring also to the bees, we go too. Both insects and 5G need antennas. Insects use them, among other things, in their sense of smell, while 5G uses them to propagate waves. Not surprisingly, insects are sensitive to 5G EMF waves. This recent study showed that insects exposed to 5G radiation experienced an increase in their body temperature, and this is not surprising at all, because they are being bombarded by these waves. Studies have shown that the frequencies used by 5G increase the body temperature of insects. This phenomenon was not observed with 5G or Wi-Fi. Future wavelengths of the electromagnetic fields used for the wireless telecommunication systems will decrease and become comparable to the body size of insects, and therefore the absorption of RF EMFs in insects is expected to increase. The 11th danger of 5G, space-based 5G. 5G is planned to be an inescapable grid, with plans afoot to beam it down from space. This ties into the Space Fence agenda, as discussed in an article entitled Space Fence: Connecting the Surveillance and Transhumanist Agendas. At least 5 companies are proposing to provide 5G from space from a combined 20,000 satellites in low and medium Earth orbit that will blanket the Earth with powerful, focused, steerable beams. Each satellite will emit millimeter waves with an effective radiated power of up to 5 million watts from thousands of antennas arrayed in a phased array. It is vital to understand the bigger picture of the grand conspiracy here. All these disruptive and hazardous technologies, 5G, Wi-Fi, wireless radiation, HARP, ionospheric heating, geoengineering, GMOs, etc., are going to be woven into one giant integrated system of surveillance, command and control. Just as one small example, geoengineering involves the spraying of chemtrails loaded with metal particulates like barium, strontium and aluminium, which 5G can use. The 12th danger of 5G, re-radiation inside the body. So, way back in 2002, Arthur Furtenberg published an analysis of 5G long before the technology was approved. He explained how, due to 5G EM pulses being extremely short and delivered in bursts, they actually replicate inside the body, and up creating tiny new 5G antennas internally. When extremely short electromagnetic pulses enter the body, something else happens. The moving charges themselves become little antennas that re-radiate the electromagnetic field and send it deeper into the body. These re-radiated waves are called Brillouin precursors. They become significant when either the power or the phase of the wave changes rapidly enough. This means that the reassurance we are being given that these millimeter waves are too short to penetrate far into the body is not true. Rather, it is a big, huge lie. This echoes a previous point made, that 5G penetration is a serious danger, and you also must know that the 5G will interact with dormant nanoparticles inside your body, which you may have inhaled or ingested with food or water. These nanoparticles, also called smart dust, are waiting for 5G frequencies to reassemble themselves as nanobots inside your body and to start attacking from within. 5G, 13th danger. Insurance companies refuse to underwrite big wireless. What do they know? Insurance companies, like Lloyd's of London, have made headlines by refusing to insure big wireless against Wi-Fi and 5G related illnesses and claim they give us a solid clue. The report compares these wireless technologies with asbestos, in that the early research on asbestos was inconclusive, and only later did it become obvious to anyone paying attention that asbestos causes cancer. So, and they know that we have the same scenario with 5G. Therefore, in conclusion, 5G grid part of larger command, control, surveillance and artificial intelligence agenda. That is what 5G is about. It's not for our entertainment. Far, far from it. 5G is qualitatively and quantitatively different to 4G. It is much more than just the next step up from 4G. 5G will not only beam tens to hundreds times more radiation than 4G, but the introduction of mmW technology means a whole new host of hazards. History repeats itself, just like it took some time for real science to catch up with tobacco and cigarettes, and just like it took some time for real science to catch up with the monstrosity that are GMOs, now rebranded as bioengineered foods. So too will real science catch up with 5G. In the meantime, you can expect all sorts of junk science to be put forth to justify it, including misdirections and distractions, like only focusing on determined effects of wireless and ignoring the evidence of dangerous, non-thermal effects. And the conclusion of conclusions, ultimately, 5G is part of the New World Order agenda to set up a giant, inescapable command and control grid that eliminates all privacy and allows the manipulators to survey every single person on the planet all the time. If there was ever a time for activists to step up in the name of freedom, truth, health, privacy, and sovereignty, now is the time. I just remembered only the other day our local newspaper had a prominent article that was entitled 5G is safe. And I immediately knew that when they write such a title, they mean the opposite. It's not safe, but they are desperately trying to reassure people. True lies. I hope you go through this article and that you research it yourselves a bit more, and that we stand united on this front in taking a stand against 5G. 5G is going to cause extinction of the human race. God bless you all.